There's an invisible script running in the background of your life. It dictates what you wear, where you live, and crucially, how you spend your money. You might think you're making independent choices, but psychology tells us otherwise. You're likely trapped in a status game, a zero-sum competition where the finish line keeps moving. In the 18th century, a philosopher named Denis Diderot was given a beautiful scarlet robe. That single gift ruined his life. It forced him into debt, depression, and a spiral of consumption that we now see every single day on Instagram and TikTok. Today, we are going to break down the two psychological forces that keep the middle class from building true wealth: the Diderot Effect and Mimetic Desire. We are going to learn why willpower doesn't work and why the only way to win the status game is to stop playing it. Welcome to the Noetic Playbook. Here, we don't do generic motivational fluff. We look at the behavioral psychology behind your finances. Most people view wealth as a number in a bank account, but in reality, wealth is a game of psychology. There are two distinct games being played in the economy right now. There is the wealth game, and there is the status game. The wealth game is positive sum. It's about freedom, autonomy, and compounding assets. The status game is zero sum. It's about ranking. For you to be high status, someone else must be low status. The problem is that 90% of society is unknowingly playing the status game while convinced they are building wealth. They are chasing an illusion. To understand why, we have to go back to 1765 and open the diary of a French philosopher who accidentally discovered why we can't stop buying things we don't need. Denis Diderot was poor for most of his life until Catherine the Great of Russia heard of his financial troubles and bought his library for a massive sum. Suddenly, Diderot had money. He bought himself a beautiful scarlet dressing gown. It was elegant, it was luxurious, it was perfect. And that was the problem. Diderot noticed that his new robe looked out of place in his dusty, common study. The contrast was painful. As he put it, there was no coordination, no unity, no beauty between his robe and the rest of his items. So, he replaced his old rug with a new one from Damascus. He replaced his wooden table with a luxurious writing desk. He bought beautiful prints to replace his old art. He upgraded his chair to a leather one. This is the Diderot Effect. It states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption, which leads you to acquire more new things. As a result, we end up buying things that our previous selves never needed to feel happy. Diderot eventually looked around his perfectly furnished, luxurious home and realized he had spent all his money. He wrote an essay titled "Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." In it, he wrote the famous line, "I was absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become a slave to my new one." This happens to us when we buy the new iPhone. Suddenly, our wired headphones feel archaic, so we buy AirPods. Then our phone case looks cheap, so we upgrade that. Then we need the Apple Watch to complete the ecosystem. The Diderot Effect explains that we don't buy things for their utility, we buy them for their coherence. We want our external environment to match the identity we are trying to project. When you upgrade one part of your life, you break the coherence and you are psychologically forced to upgrade everything else to match it. That is the treadmill. But why do we want the robe, or the Tesla, or the promotion in the first place? This brings us to the second concept, mimetic desire. This theory comes from the Stanford philosopher René Girard. Girard argued that human beings don't actually know what to desire. Unlike animals who have instincts for food and shelter, humans have abstract desires. We don't know what is good or worthy until we see someone else want it. We don't desire objects directly. We desire the object because a model, someone we respect or envy, desires it. We are mimicking them. In a status game, you aren't buying the Tesla because you love electric drivetrains. You are buying it because you are mimicking the status of the people who drive Teslas. You are trying to acquire their being. You think, if I have what they have, I will be who they are. Social media has weaponized mimetic desire. In the past, your models were just your neighbors, the Joneses next door. Today, your models are algorithmically selected billionaires, influencers, and the most curated versions of your friends. You are constantly bombarded with signals of what you should want. And because the status game is zero-sum, every time you see someone else winning a vacation to Amalfi, a new house, you feel like you are losing. This mimicry drains your psychological battery. You are spending your mental energy tracking the desires of others rather than cultivating your own. This is the definition of the invisible script. You are reading lines written by other people. Here is the brutal truth about the intersection of the Diderot Effect and Mimetic Desire. They force you to focus on visible wealth. Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, put it perfectly. Wealth is what you don't see. Status is visible. It's the car, the house, the clothes. It's the stuff Diderot bought. But wealth is invisible. Wealth is the money you didn't spend. It's the option to quit your job. It's the ability to not worry about an emergency. When you play the status game, you are trading invisible freedom for visible shackles. You are buying a Diderot robe that requires you to maintain a lifestyle you can't afford, to impress models who don't care about you. The middle class is particularly vulnerable to this. The invisible script tells you that as your income rises, your lifestyle must rise to match it. This is lifestyle creep. It's the Diderot effect in slow motion. You get a raise, so you move to a better neighborhood. Now your old car looks out of place in the new driveway. Mimetic desire kicks in. Your neighbors all have landscapers, so now you need a landscaper. Suddenly you're making more money than ever, but you have less freedom than before. You have upgraded your status, but downgraded your wealth. So, how do we break the script? Standard advice says use willpower or make a budget. But at Noetic Playbook, we know that willpower is a finite resource. You cannot fight biology with a spreadsheet. The solution is not to change your mind, it is to change your surroundings. If the Diderot effect is triggered by a lack of coordination in your environment, curate an environment that values simplicity. If mimetic desire is triggered by models, curate your models. 1. Audit your inputs. Ruthlessly unfollow accounts that trigger status anxiety. If seeing your friend's vacation makes you feel poor, mute them. It's not petty, it's psychological hygiene. 2. Define your game. Consciously decide to play the wealth game. Celebrate the invisible. Take pride in the transfer to your brokerage account that nobody sees. 3. Apply the 30-day rule. When you want to buy a Diderot item, something that upgrades your identity, wait 30 days. Usually the mimetic fever breaks and you realize you didn't want the object. You just wanted the dopamine hit of the status upgrade. Real wealth is the ability to say no to the robe. Denis Diderot eventually realized his mistake, but it was too late for his finances. It's not too late for yours. The next time you feel the urge to upgrade your life because you feel behind, remember, you are just reacting to an invisible script. You have the power to tear that script up. If you want to understand more about the psychology of money and how to build a mind capable of holding wealth, make sure you're subscribed to the Noetic Playbook. We explore the things school never taught you about your own brain. Stop playing games you can't win. Start building wealth you can't see. I'll see you in the next one.